You've got your Sony mirrorless camera, now it's time to buy the lens. I'm going to show you what works best, not only for me, but from watching all the other vloggers out there, what works best for them, to put a little list together for you. You don't need to spend thousands on a lens just for vlogging. If you're using an APS-C camera, A5000, 5100, A6000, 6300 or the new 6500, a very nice lens that you can use for this is the 10 to 18. This is quite an expensive lens, but it would give you the equivalent in a full frame of around a 15 to 27, call it a 16 to 30, which is what a lot of the guys are using on the full frame, so it would give you that equivalent. So if you can splash the cash a little, this is a very nice lens. On the flip side, if cash isn't an option, you can use the kit lens that comes with many of the APS-C cameras, which is the little 16 to 50, which is a little power zoom lens. You know, this is absolutely fine just for vlogging on, if you're not trying to really get massive out of focus areas in the background, you're just talking to camera. This will do you fine until you can move in to something else. If you wanted to take a small jump up for APS-C, you've got the Zeiss 16 to 70, which there are reports out there of bad copies, but if you can go into the shop, test it, rather than buy it online, make sure you get yourself a nice copy. It's a fine lens for your APS-C camera. The one thing that is always a problem with any of these smaller zooms is if you're going out on weeks and weeks and weeks of traveling and you have no idea what you're going to be photographing, whether it's mountains or whether it's sports or whether it's nature, and you want to be prepared for everything without having to change lenses all the time. There is an answer, which is the 18 to 200. This will give you the ability to cover as much of an array as possible with this lens, so that's something to think about. But hey, you're using a full frame Sony mirrorless, the A7S II, the A7R II, A7, A7 II, you know the score. Well, the 16 to 35 is really the lens of choice for most vloggers out there. This is what Mars Bars uses at the moment. If you want to be more prepared, Fun for Louis, for example, he uses the 24 to 240, which gives him then the ability to basically cover everything. Photography wise, this isn't the greatest of lenses. It isn't very sharp, and it's not the fastest glass out there, but for video, which doesn't require massive amounts of fine, lovely, sharp, fast glass, the 24 to 240 for video is actually very good. Optical stabilization as well, which if you're using one of the original A7 lenses without built-in stabilization, will serve you very well. So really, you're sort of two lenses basically for full frame, which is the 16 to 35 and the 24 to 240. Of course, you can use faster glass. Fun for Louis, I believe, has a 35mm 1.4. So if you knew that you were going into specifically low light situations, that could well be a great lens, but it is big, it is heavy, and it will have no zoom function. So if the next day you're out in the mountains, you're going to have to change lenses, whereas this one would have you covered for all eventualities. So I think the 24 to 240 really does cover all bases, but if you do a lot more just talking to camera rather than being a sort of a travel vlogger, the 16 to 35 is better if you're just talking to camera all the time. Nice little array. Let me know if you have any questions, and as usual guys, it's been emotional.